We're going to go ahead and get started now. Thank you, everybody, for being here and welcome to our International Student Webinar for the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. We will introduce ourselves shortly, but I'm just wanted to let you know that I'm really thankful that you're here joining us. I know that you are probably from a lot of different parts of the world, and also you are maybe having to stay up really late or wake up really early to join us. So thank you for doing that also. My name is Sandra Soria. I am your international student advisor for the college, and my colleagues here will introduce themselves, and they are part of the team that will be supporting you in your time here at UC Davis.
Hi everyone, my name is Hong Dao. I am one of the academic advisor in the dean's office. I think you can click, there we go, Audra, thank you. Just a little bit about me. I did graduate from UC Davis, got my undergrad in clinical nutrition. My hometown is from Sacramento, so not so far from UC Davis, and just some hobbies of mine. I do enjoy hanging out and spending time with my family, friends, fitness, wellness, and also cooking. And I'll pass it along to Greg.
Hi, all. My name is Greg Anderson. I'm originally from San Jose in the Bay Area in California. Some of my hobbies is I like spending time with my family and my young daughter. I really enjoy spending time outdoors. I like running a lot. I also enjoy camping and hiking. And also, I really enjoy going to concerts. In fact, I was just at a music festival this past weekend. Andra?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so my hometowns are Mexico City and Tucson, Arizona. And so for my hobbies, I love playing with my dogs. I have two. Hopefully you don't hear them today. But if we ever meet in an appointment, I'm more than happy to tell you all about them. I also love to cook and bake, and I also love watching K-dramas. So if you like watching K-dramas too, we can definitely talk about that. Yeah, so thank you again for being here. I am going to move to our goals for today. So we want to give you a little bit of an overview about what Davis is all about, the different places that you can go, the advising network that you have to support you. So if you don't know where to go, we know that coming to Davis can be overwhelming because it's a big institution. But it's okay that you don't have all the answers. That's why we are here to support you and to also direct you to other places that can support you as well. We will talk a little bit about your degree requirements, what major support there is for you, and then also thinking about registration coming up, things to keep in mind so you can be as happy and successful in your academics and otherwise in your first quarter here at UC Davis.
All right, so here at UC Davis, you do have a wide, huge of a network of support. So I'm going to go over this page with you. So I'm going to start with the UAP Dean's Office. So as Andra mentioned, this is where me, Andra, and Greg will work in. So things that we can help you with are university, GE, and college requirement. We can also help you with major exploration. Some of you may have a declare major, but thinking of maybe potentially switch, maybe even during your time later on here come and talk to us about that. We can also help with minor exploration as well, just general question. If you don't know where to get your question started, come and ask us those questions. Like I had a student earlier today, we were talking about like using campus resources, which is something that we will refer you to. And she was walking and she was like, "Oh, is the tutoring, do I have to pay for that?" And I was like, "Oh no, that's part of your tuition." She saw I signed something about like making payments. So I informed that student like, oh, in the future, if you're unsure, just come and talk to us about it or ask us that question. There's no dumb or stupid question. Like, this is a new space education system for you, so everything could be, new to you. So just let us know what kind of support you need, and we could refer you to those resources support for you. And there's a lot of different policies and procedure that you may not be aware of, and we don't expect you to know. As I mentioned, the education system here is might be different in your home country. So make sure that you come and ask us about it. Like, hey, I have a question about this. Can you share with me more information about the policy? So those are some of the things ways that we support you. The next set of resource here is the major advisor. So in the dean's office, we go over your GE requirements, all of that. However, we don't go over major requirement. We can assist you based on our common knowledge of meeting with students in particular major or knowing, looking in the general catalog. But in terms of the major requirement and like which classes to take together or not to take together, your major advisor are the expertise in that. So if you have declare major, make sure that you meet with your major advisor at least once a year for course planning. Make sure like you're on track. They could go over major requirement, schedule planning. They could also let you know about different research internship opportunity that they have within the department or they're aware of other students knowing. And they also can connect you with a faculty advisor too. So if you meet with your major advisor and you're expressed that you're interested in this type of research or this opportunity, they may know that faculty or professor that has research in what you're aligning of your interests, and they can connect you to that. So opening and sharing with your major advisor about that, they can, connect you to the faculty advisor. But in conjunction between the major and the dean's office, both of the offices, we will provide you with a recommendation. But we collaborate with each other. So we can say, here we recommend X, Y, and Z, but still confirm with your major advisor. We will refer you to different campus resources, which we will go in further later on in this webinar, and also different opportunities based of your interest that you share with us. The other resource available is your faculty advisor. There's different terminology we will use. You will hear professors, faculty advisor do the same thing. Sometimes students will say teacher. I know that's the terminology used in high school and whatnot, but teacher, professor, faculty, they're basically the same terminology, just using interchangeably. We highly recommend if you're having difficulty in the class or need additional support, your faculty advisor should be the first point of contact. I know they could be intimidating to talk to, but just know they are there to kind of support you. So if anything in the quarter that is impacting you, they should know, but also let us know. We could provide you with some recommendations as well. One other reason why we encourage you to build your relationship with a faculty advisor is also, for those who are thinking of, post-secondary education after you get your bachelor's degree. If any of you are thinking of going to medical school, law school, vet school, having that relationship with the professors could be really great for a letter of recommendation. So building that rapport with the professors and faculty earlier on could be very helpful for that. Even if you don't have questions, I met with many students and I will tell them, like, even if you understand the material, going to office hours is still a great way for you to maintain that A grade. And it's also a way to study. You don't think it's studying, but it is a form of studying when you go to office hours and you're asking questions or listening to the professor explain a concept or material to another student. That's still a form of studying. So I usually kind of normalize to the student, like, going to office hours doesn't mean you're not doing well in a class. It's also because you want to maintain that A grade, for example, or build that rapport. So we highly recommend using the faculty advisor for that support. And the last thing I want to go over is the peer advisor. We do have peer advisor in the dean's office, and we also have peer advisor in the department level. The peer advisor could be helpful in giving that student perspective to you in terms of GE requirements or major requirement or career opportunity or what classes to take, what professor to take, what they're doing in terms of extracurricular activities. So we do encourage you to kind of reach out to the peer advisor to get that next perspective. Yeah, so definitely take advantage. You have a lot of network support in the academic world. And in the future slide, we will go over campus resources and support for that. And I will bring it to Greg.
So next we'll talk about your degree requirements at UC Davis. You may have seen some of this in Aggie 101 and your Aggie Advising on Canvas, but we want to definitely highlight a couple of details here for you. So first, there are different types of degree requirements that you'll have to fulfill while you're at Davis. The first are what are called university requirements. These are requirements that students have to fulfill no matter what major they are at UC Davis, whether they're animal science, managerial economics, engineering, biological sciences, arts, everyone has to do university requirements. The first is the entry-level writing requirement, which we have a lot more information about on the next slide. The second is the American History Institutions requirement. This is particularly notable for students who are coming to Davis from another country. For students who went to high school in California or the US, they have typically taken a US history class in high school, which satisfies this requirement. However, for students coming from another country, you likely took a history class for the country that you grew up in. So you will want to make sure that you take an American History and Institutions class at some time while you're here at Davis. Third is scholarship. That means that in your UC classes, you will need to earn a 2.0 GPA, and we can talk more about how to calculate your GPA in one-on-one advising appointments and show you some tools on OASIS to figure that out. Lastly, there's the residence requirement, which you won't have to worry about for a while, but that has to do with where you take classes right at the end of college in your last 45 units before you graduate. There are general education requirements, which are part of your university graduation requirements, and the goal is to make sure that you take a wide range of classes while you're here. You are going to focus on something with your major, but as an institution, Davis wants to make sure that you also study other subjects. So for example, if you are a science-based major in our college, whether you are environmental science or animal science or another type of science, that's likely going to cover a lot of your science-based general education, but we want to make sure that you take some arts classes, some humanities classes, some classes that focus on people and cultures and history. Likewise, if you're maybe more of an economics major, like managerial economics, you might have to take some extra science classes. So there are what are called core literacies and topical breadth that are specific categories of general education that you'll need to fulfill while you're here. Third are college requirements. So these are requirements that are specific to students in the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. The first is an English composition requirement, which requires 2 writing classes. Next is the total number of units that you need to graduate, and that is going to be 180 units. So there are a lot of different ways to earn those units, and you may even be bringing some units in with you from, for example, with international baccalaureate exams. And then what are called upper division units, which are more advanced classes that you typically won't take in your first year if you're coming from high school. Those are classes that you'll take a little bit further down the road, but you'll need 54 units. And then lastly is your major. Your major is what you're here to specialize in, to focus on. Every major has distinct requirements to make sure that you become an expert in that subject. So you'll want to work with your major advisor throughout your time at Davis. You can look at their department website, and you'll probably find more information in Aggie advising as well. All right, so I told you on the last slide that we would talk a little bit more about writing requirements. There are 3 different writing requirements at Davis, which can be a little bit confusing on the face of them. There's what's called entry-level writing, English composition, and writing experience. So the first one, entry-level writing, is a requirement to ensure that you are prepared to do college-level writing. This is the only requirement that is not needed to be done by the time you graduate, but instead it has to be done earlier. So students have an earlier time frame to complete entry-level writing, which we'll talk about more on another slide. But the whole point is making sure that you're prepared to do college-level writing. Next is English composition. These are classes to even further your writing level or your writing skills, to teach those advanced level writing skills so that when you graduate from college, you are a strong writer, both for graduate school and any careers that you might pursue. So these are going to be classes where they're, again, teaching you how to write. You'll write multiple drafts of essays and short stories and get feedback on them to improve your writing. And then the third is the writing experience GE category. This is a category where the professor is not teaching you how to write, but you are instead using your writing skills to demonstrate you understand what's being taught. So for example, you might take an animal science class that gets writing experience, where you're writing papers about animal science, but the professor is teaching about animal science. They're not teaching you about writing. So those are the differences. Entry-level writing gets your college-level writing skills ready. English composition prepares you for very advanced level writing, and then writing experiences using those writing skills in other subjects. And that's why entry level writing, as it says here, is a prerequisite for writing experience. All right.
Greg, for
Yes.
that beautiful explanation. After that, as Greg mentioned, depending on your placement test that you hopefully have taken already, you might have placed into one of these paths, which will let us know whether you still need to satisfy your entry-level writing requirement. So if you go into Oasis, you should be able to know whether you place into path 1, path 2, path 3, or path 4. For path 1, if you did place into it, the course that you should plan on registering for in fall will be UWP 21. If that is the case, then that means that you have 5 quarters from the time that you start here at UC Davis to complete your ELWR. So you would need to do UWP 21 in fall, UWP 22 in winter, and then do your ELWR course in spring. Ideally, that is the path or the timeline that that we recommend. If that is the case, and then if you go into path 2, then we recommend that in fall you do UWP 22, and then in winter you can go into your ELWR course. For path 1 and path 2, as you see, there is only one option to fulfill those requirements. They each have only one class. But for path 3, there are multiple options. You can choose between a 4-credit option, which would be one class that is UWP 7 or 7Y or 7B or 7M or WRI 40. Or if you choose to take the 6-unit option, that is a 4-unit class, that is a writing class plus like a writing workshop, which is an additional 2 units. So it is a little bit more work. However, it also counts as half of your English composition requirement. So if you have any questions about which would be the right option for you, or you want to maybe consider different options, come and see us. We can talk about what that can look like in your schedule, and then we can find the right option for you. And then finally, if you place into path 4, then that means that your ELWR has been satisfied. And like Greg mentioned, maybe with your IB score, maybe with an AP score. And if that is the case, then you can jump right into English composition and you don't have to worry about this ELWR clock. Please keep in mind that even though this is our recommendation of when we want you to be taking these courses, if for whatever reason you don't get into these classes during your fall quarter, it is totally okay. Come and see us, and we will talk about making a plan so we can enroll you in those classes in winter time. So again, there is a recommended clock, but sometimes things out of our control happen. And if that is the case, we are here to support you.
Before you move on, Andra, I just wanted to answer a question live from the chat. I think is important
Yes.
for other students to be
Okay.
aware about. So the question that was asked in the Q&A was, do transfer student with a GETC or a Cal GETC need to do the placement exam? So the answer is no, you do not. If you have a full GETC or Cal GETC from your community college, make sure you submit that certification to our office. Generally, if you have a full GETC, Cal GETC, your entry-level writing has been met, so you do not need to take the writing placement survey. Very similar as well, like the chemistry and math placement exam. If you have taken chemistry and math at your community college, you don't have to take it here at UC Davis. Those placement exams are for those who want to start the chem series or the math series and haven't started yet. So make sure, yeah, so you don't need to take those placement exam. So yeah, good questions. And as Greg mentioned, if you do have questions within the webinar presentation, make sure you use the Q&A so we can answer, reply back to you, but also answer that live because I think other students may have the same question as you. So thank you so much.
And one last detail, if you heard some of those terms and didn't recognize them, those are things typically used for students transferring from a California community college. So if you're coming from a high school, those won't apply to you.
Thank you, everyone. All right. So now, if you have completed your ELWR, then and you don't have iGETSI or CalGETSI, the next step for fulfilling your English composition requirements, like Greg mentioned, would be different options for satisfying your English composition. But again, you would be required to fulfill 8 units. So there are multiple options of doing this. So the first one is to take 2 of these courses that are writing intensive. So it would be ENL3, one of these UWP courses. If so, you can take 2 of those, or you can do one of these plus another course that is considered more of oral skills. So it could be Communications 1, COM 1, 2, 3, and 4, or NAS 5. We do not expect you to know this by heart. We have it on our website, but also, again, when you come see us, we can put this into your schedule. We can discuss what would be the best options for you. And some of these classes might be required by your major also. So it could be a great opportunity for you to fulfill a major requirement and a G requirement at the same time. So again, please meet with us regularly and with your major advisors, like Hong mentioned. You have a network of support, and we communicate with each other to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we are creating a schedule that makes sense for you. Different options as well are AP exams or IB exams. So if you get an AP score of a 4 or 5, then you can take an additional course. So you would only need one more course of English composition to satisfy that English composition requirement. And for the IB, if you got a score of 5, again, as long as you're not taking ENL3, you can take an additional course, and then that would satisfy that requirement as well. The final option for satisfying English composition for our college is to take the English composition exam once you've completed 70 units here, and you do need a grade of a C minus or a passing grade if you do pass, no pass, in order to have that count.
All right, thanks for that, Andres. And we're gonna hop over to major requirement, as I mentioned in that network of support slide earlier. Anything regarding the major advisor, we will refer you to your major advisor. So make sure that you check your major department website or the general catalog for the requirements. The other thing that is recently new is something called UAchieve. So you can log into UAchieve, which is a degree, an online degree tracking system. And you can see the requirements on there as well in terms of your major requirement. But just know that, as I mentioned, make sure that you go talk to your major at least once a year to make sure they can assist you with course planning, making sure that your courses are manageable and realistic to be taking. So I did put that in the chat, the general catalog. Make sure that you meet with the major and the peers. Next slide, please. So some things to remember about the major requirement: use the catalog department website for guidance, not taking over the advising per se, but just for guidance of helping you draft things up and then go into your major. Just say, hey, I created my plan. What do you think? Should I change anything? Or do you think the schedule looks good? So you could prepare everything yourself, but get the final stamp from your major advisor. All the major resources like sample plans, requirement is all on the major website. As Andra mentioned earlier, the classes that you take for your major or not for your major, it can also count for GE requirements as well, as long as they carry that GE attribute. And as we mentioned, Make sure you visit your major at least once a year. One thing I usually tell my students is when you create the ACMA plan with your major advisor and you deviate from that plan, that means deviate means that you're not following it because maybe the class got canceled or the class got full or you couldn't get in. Make sure that you go back to your major advisor to say, hey, can we update it? Can we get a new updated plan? Because I want to see how that's going to impact my course plan for the future, or is going to push me back another quarter, or do I need to take summer, X, Y, and Z? So this is where meeting with your major advisor at least once a year is important, but more importantly, when you're not following the plan that is approved in Oasis for you, this is where you want to go back to get the updated plan.
All right, let's talk about some suggestions for your schedule and how to be successful. First up is enrolling into a minimum of 12 units per quarter. The way that you enroll in classes at Davis will be different from high school, and that's using units. So rather than saying you should register for example, 3, 4, 5 classes, a unit is a measure of how much work you have to put into class. So how much time you spend in the classroom and studying. So for example, a 4-unit class will require twice as much work as a 2-unit class. You want to be enrolled in a minimum of 12 units. That's important for if you're studying here on a visa. That's also important for being in good standing for minimum progress. That's also important for things like financial aid or living on campus. There is a specific time when you can register for classes, and that's called a pass time. You want to look those up in advance. They are available on both Schedule Builder and on Oasis. Put those in your calendar, and especially if you're registering from a different country, uh, look up in advance what the time zone is or the time zone difference is for you so you can register at the right time. You have 2 pass times, a pass 1 and a pass 2 with slightly different restrictions. So make sure you put both of them in your calendar. You want to create a balanced schedule. What a balanced schedule is once you know how many units you need, you don't want to just be taking, for example, 4 hard science classes all at the same time, but you also don't want to just take a bunch of easy general elective classes that don't help you get towards your major. So you want to have a mixture of major classes, general education classes, and maybe other elective courses or courses that you find interesting or helpful, like career discovery group or first year seminars. Make sure that you're enrolled in the appropriate writing class, like Andra had mentioned earlier, whether it's UW 21, 22, 7N, or one of your college composition classes. Have a backup plan. Classes do fill up, so we want to make sure that you have multiple options to choose from. And also, if you have a certain section that you like, for example, you want to be in the section that starts at 1 p.m., that's ideal. But if that class fills up, be willing to put yourself in the section that starts at 9 a.m. So have multiple options. And then also make sure that you follow your advisor's recommendations, that your advisors understand which classes are prerequisites for other classes or which ones are only offered in certain quarters of the year. So it's a real high priority to take the classes during that time. So your advisors have your best interest in mind. So please follow their advice around, again, those writing classes, the level of difficulty, and also the unit load. So not overloading yourself with too many units.
All right. So I know Greg shared a little bit about the academics inside the classroom, but just wanted to kind of share beyond the classroom. So I know many of you may come. I mean, you guys are all out of state or out of country, and the U.S. education system may be different than your home country. So just want to let you know the culture shock may be a little bit different. So I just kind of want to normalize, like, it's okay. You may have to adapt, get adjusted to how the U.S. education system will work. Make sure that you ask for help. Okay. I know I met with many students who could feel um, embarrassed and ashamed because when they were in high school or at the community college, they were a stellar, exceptional student who gets all A. And when you come here at UC Davis, maybe like the classes, the quarter system pace is so quick, or the academic rigor is so intense that you're maybe not able to catch up, or because you're taking too many classes, or life things happen that impacting you. So make sure that if those things do happen, make sure that you ask for help. We're here to kind of support you with that. We understand the transition is one of the biggest factor that impacts students, especially being away from home. It could be like 14 hours away and feeling alone that you have no one here. This is where you come and talk to us, and we can help you, with some resources to kind of help build your network of support, your community here. So you're not alone. Um, the next bullet here is getting involved around campus or community. So one way to kind of help with that is like joining a club. If you're interested in like badminton, for example, there might be a badminton club, and this is where you could build your own little community, your little family for the next 2 or 4 years that have same interests. Or if you want to join like an animal science club, um, like a vet A club, you could join that because other students may have similar interests. So you may bond over that a little bit easier and make friends quicker here, and feel like less lonely, and you have someone to kind of lean on. Other ways is form a study group. That's one thing I usually tell my students is in terms of campus resources. Um, utilize office hours with your professor, your TA, tutoring support. There are free tutoring depending on the subject matter, like the preparatory. And I usually tell students for each class, find a study buddy for each class. So in the event that you do miss a class for whatever reason, you could take notes or lecture recording from, your peer to kind of help you with that. Or when office hours or tutoring ends and you're staying at night, at least you can maybe hop on Zoom. You don't have to meet each other in person, but hop on Zoom. It's like, hey, let's stay together and keep each other accountable. So if I master a concept, I could maybe tell Andra, like, hey, this is how you do the concept, and vice versa. Like if I don't understand something, like, Andra, can you explain it to me? Right. So having a study buddy could kind of help with that. I mentioned about joining a club, attend events. So in College of Ag, we have a lot of events, and most of them do involve food. So one of the events that we do is like Slice of Rising, or a fall festival, which happens like the fourth week of the quarter. We also have an event called Study Break, which happened the week of final on a Tuesday. And we do have other like volunteer events that our college hosts as well. So when you see those events, come check that out. Come talk to us. It's more an informal setting. And if you have any questions, you can meet other people and mingle as well. Seek fun on campus. So there's a lot of activities on campus. I think in the beginning of the quarter, um, there will be like clubs that will table in the quad. So you may want to go around just to see what kind of clubs are out there, what you're interested in, check those out. And then also visit your advisor. So those are just some resources that we recommend that you take advantage of during your time here. Next slide. Okay. So other helpful services. So services for international student and scholar, SISS. We basically collaborate and partner with them very closely. However, we will usually refer you to SISS if you have any questions about immigration or visa. We're not the expertise in that. So you have a question about like your I-20, for example, or how does you falling below 12 units, how would that impact your, visa status? Those are questions that we will refer you back to the SIS advisor. So we will collaborate with them closely and refer you to them. And if you meet with them, they may refer you to us. So if anything does come up, feel free to let us know. And then there's also a PAL program that SIS also hosts. So that's like partnering you up with a student as well, just to learn more about the language here in the US and develop friendship here. So there are some requirements for that. You have to be an active student and also be available at least once a week to meet with your PAL partner. I think that will be a great resource for someone who is here and can show you the ways and the hoops and resources. So that could be something for you to check out. Another resource is student success coaching and learning strategies. I met with many students. You could be a procrastinator while you were in high school or in community college and take like 20 units and still work and still get those A's and B's. But here at Davis, you might have to change your like learning strategies and study habits. So we do have through the student success coaching learning strategy, there are workshop, or you can meet with the success coach one-on-one. There's different workshop that you can attend to kind of help build your learning strategies and study habit. That could be like communicating with professor. If you're intimidated, like that workshop can help you learn how to like write an email, talk to the professor. Or it could be on time management. How are you going to balance all these things all at once? It could be attending a workshop on maximizing lecture, on like what you should be doing before lecture, during lecture, after lecture. Study smarter, not harder. So different tips. So there's resources and workshops to kind of help you during your time here. So definitely take advantage of those. If you come and talk to us in advising appointment, we may refer you to these resources again. The next one is the Aggie Compass Basic Needs Center. So that's a resource on campus to kind of, if you have any questions and need support on basic needs, such as like housing, food, financial resources, they could definitely help you, or mental health, wellness, different resources. They're another support here on campus that you could reach out. And all of these are free. You don't have to pay to utilize these services. So just know they're available to kind of help you with that. And then the last thing is the Academic Assistant and Tutoring Center. I mentioned briefly about this earlier in the previous slide. So as I mentioned, there are tutoring services available for some preparatory subject matter. So highly recommend that you take advantage of that. The tutoring center is kind of located at the lower shield of the library, or some is also located in some retention center here on campus. I would highly recommend to take advantage of like the tutors. There's also like specialists in that subject matter. Like you have your professor and your TA of the class. But if you're taking chemistry, there's also a chemistry specialist. So there's different hours that you can also go. So there's math tutoring, economics, physics, stats, biology. So make sure that you take advantage of that for additional support. And then some subject matter like chem, math, there's also some co-class that you can take to kind of supplement with the actual class. So if you sign up for a co-class, you could get a unit toward like being a full-time status, and it could also help you with the minimum progress. So that's one way to kind of help you like supplement and help you with the material. So definitely, we highly recommend that you take advantage of the tutoring services.
Thanks, Hong. So yeah, in order to be successful, please, I think one of the most important things is for you to go to class, period. Like Hong mentioned and Greg mentioned, sometimes things might not go according to plan. You might get an 8 a.m. class. You might not love getting up so early to be in class at 8 a.m. But it's so important that you actually show up to class. For a lot of these classes that you will be taking, so much of the difference between an A and a B, or even like a D and a C, is whether you showed up to class. So that really, really matters. And with that, it is also important to keep track of your deadlines. So again, some people prefer putting that in their phone. Some people prefer maybe having a paper agenda. So it just whatever works for you, and you might need to try different things to see what you prefer and what sticks. But it is important that you keep track of those deadlines of when assignments are due, of maybe when you should be planning to study for exams. So, for example, if you have an exam or a midterm coming up and you know that it's 3 weeks away, maybe start making a plan for starting to study now instead of studying 2 days before the exam is due. So things like that. Again, go to office hours. Like Hong mentioned earlier, it is reasonable and understandable that you might be intimidated by some of these instructors. You might not know what to ask them once you show up, but a lot of times these instructors are wanting to teach because they like talking to students. So you can think about maybe something that you thought was interesting from this past lecture, or maybe a question that you had that maybe you kind of know the answer to, but it's a good way of getting that conversation started. Or maybe bring a friend. Maybe one-on-one with the instructor might be a little intimidating, but maybe going as a group might, and having a conversation as a group might not be as scary. So put yourself out there. Um, Again, if it is, nerve-wracking, that is totally understandable. In addition, please read your emails. We know that you will be getting so many emails that is, another thing that you have to do, but there's so much good information that you're getting from those emails. And it's also good practice about scanning to find what's important and maybe what is not so important. So please make sure that you are taking a look at your UC Davis email regularly, even starting now. Even if you are not planning on coming to class until September, it's a good idea to maybe start looking maybe once a week just to see what we're sending you, what's coming up, what are things that maybe you should start putting in your agendas, or maybe some questions that you might have already. Um, Again, utilize campus resources and visit your advisors. Those go hand in hand because, again, Davis and UC Davis are like a mini city. And if you're coming from far away alone, it's very easy to be intimidated or to just not even know what you don't know. So if you have a question and you don't really know who to ask, just come and see us. It could be anything from what class should I take in winter? Or I like boba. What's the best boba shop? Or is there a boba appreciation club? Or it could be I'm, my financial aid, I don't understand it and I'm a little concerned. Maybe I didn't, I'm not liking my classes. What do I do about that? Or it could even be, hey, I'm not making any friends and it's October and I see other people having friends, so what's up with that? So even if it's just that, come and talk to us. We not only can provide you with suggestions, but we can also connect you with other resources on campus that can help you and be connected in other ways, not only with other staff members, but also with other students all over campus. So with that, oh my gosh. So before, on one screen, my title is looking normal, and on this screen, it's not. But I guess we will be rolling with it right now. We will be having some events, especially for you all international students in fall. So the first one will be an international student welcome for us to meet you in person, for you to meet us in person, and also to meet each other. Um, our date will be around the first week of instruction. We don't have that fully planned yet, but you will get information, including an email about it. So again, please check your email with more information about that. In addition, we will be sending you more information about a fall check-in or a Winter Pass One support, which is where we will be meeting with you and having appointments exclusively available to our international students to come and meet with us to discuss your winter schedule for winter 2027. We want to know how you're doing, how you're adapting to UC Davis, if you're enjoying your courses. And then, like we've discussed, if we want or if you want us to connect you with resources or if we need to connect you with resources on campus, this is a great time to do that. So we will be sending out more information about how to reach us during this specific time. But of course, you're more than welcome to connect with us at any time starting now. Finally, we will be having international student drop-in advising. That is only for international students every Wednesday from 2 to 4. That will be virtual. So again, you will have a link that you can log into. So then you can meet with us. And if you have any questions about your classes or about any of the topics that we've discussed today, then we will be able to chat about it a little bit more without having to make an appointment ahead of time. So thank you again for taking time out of your day to meet with us. You have my email here, but you will be getting more information from us starting now. If you want to come see us in person, we are at 150 Morac Hall. But again, we will be meeting with you very shortly, and we're really looking forward to getting to know you all. If there are any other questions that we can put in the chat or that we can answer through the Q&A, we'll take a few more minutes to do that.
I did want to highlight a question that I think it'd be good for the rest of the folks here to hear. I think one of the question was, if I do not fulfill the immunization requirement by July 30, are you able to register for class for PASS 1 on July 30? So that immunization requirement, the whole will be impacted for your winter registration. So it will not impact your ability. It won't impact you registering for fall, but it will impact you for winter. So make sure that you take care of that, submit that, have that hold removed as soon as possible, because you won't be able to register for winter if you don't have that submitted and that hold to be removed. So I just wanted to let folks who still have that registration hold on their record, make sure you take care of that. I know some students may wait until they come to the United States to kind of make an appointment and take care of that vaccination. Make sure you take care of that as soon as possible.
Yeah, and there was also a question in the chat regarding the slides that we just went over. So this webinar has been recorded and it would be uploaded to our website within the next week or so. But again, if you have any specific questions, you can always email me and I can send this to you. Yeah.
One
I think
other,
another, oh, go ahead, Greg.
I say one other question that came up in the chat that I think a lot of incoming students have, whether they're from another country or from California or the US, is about GE requirements and how to know the difference between their major and GE requirements. So the good news is that you can use your major classes towards some of your GE categories. So again, for example, I'll use animal science because that's the biggest major in our college. That major, just by doing the major classes, are going to satisfy basically every science related to GE requirement you have. You don't have to do extra science classes on top of that. But it's not going to cover things like American culture and history. It's not going to cover things like world cultures. It's not going to cover arts and humanities. So what you'll want to do is sort of figure out which of my GE categories will my major not cover, and then that's where you take those extra classes. So ask your major advisors about that when you meet with them, and then also come meet with us in drop-in advising or in one-on-one appointments, and we can also give you updates on your GE requirements. And like we mentioned earlier, you can also, as you go through your time at Davis, track this on UAchieve, which will show you in real time where you're at on your requirements. And you can always meet with us, a couple of times a year just to see where you're at for your GEs.
I did put the YouTube website in the chat. The other thing I wanted to kind of share is our office will be hosting 2 degree requirement workshop. I'll put the dates in the Zoom link in the chat here. So one will be on August 20 from 11 to 12, and then September 8 from noon to 1. So I'll put that information in the chat. If you all want to attend that. If not, we will have some of these more in the fall quarter as well in October. So if you can't make it during this time because of time zone difference, we will have some more in like November-ish. So we can go over how to understand College of Ag degree requirements.
Yeah, and finally, there was a question about the message center and what it is and where you can find it. So if you go to your Oasis account, there should be a tab that says Message Center. And that is another place where you should be looking regularly, maybe at least once a week, because some messaging goes through your email, but some of it doesn't, and it goes only through Oasis. And some really important information might be there that you might not be aware of. So again, just get in the practice of maybe checking it at least once a week. to see if there's anything that you need to pay attention to. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. We are really excited to meet you all come fall. If anything comes up before that, please let us know. Please email us. And otherwise, this presentation will be uploaded shortly and we will email you about it. Thank you, everybody.